Hello and welcome back to another episode of our Design League playthroughs, and this one is by virtualgolfer65, and obviously we're starting on the main centerpiece, which is the multitude of waterfalls. Um, I- are we going to question how much water is coming out of this lake and where it's coming from? Probably not. I guess there's a river, but it's also flowing away from it. We're not going to go too deep into it, don't worry, it's fine. But looks interesting. It will be interesting to see how you use this, particularly on a tight plot that you've taken up so much of it with that feature in the middle. I would worry that it's maybe getting a little bit cramped, so we'll see how that works, because there's a lot of unusable space here. So yeah, we'll see how it plays. Okay, first hole, and we're playing dead to the waterfall on a drivable par 4. I think sightline wise, as you'll see if I keep zooming in, this front tee is blocking quite a bit of your view. Generally lower that, and I know it's one of those where in real life it's probably fine. I guess it's blocking stuff that you haven't planted as well. Maybe not a bad thing. I would probably pop some bushes down underneath these trees just to make it look a little less empty, or move this tree so that you're peeking through at that waterfall, and then underbrush here. I think a lot of framing is about blocking out areas you don't want, and bushes or sunken trees can work really well for that. The no light rough is an interesting one. I think it works for the most part, but I think you've got to make sure you've got heavy rough around the edge rather than like natural bare terrain here. So as you can see, when it goes from this to dead brown, it looks a little less good. Putting a heavy rough brush over that will work pretty well. Waterfalls, they're done pretty well. I think you can layer them a little bit more, so you see this stark line. Obviously we don't really see it from where we are, but generally sinking, you kind of often need to use another waterfall and sink it down a little lower. But that's a huge meter cost, so I can understand why you haven't done it. Okay, I don't think I might have to go for it. A little partial. Just get up and around the green. Oh, okay, and we've gone. Yeah, don't like that much. I get that there's out of bounds, but rolling all the way through the green and out of bounds is. I think that's what you wanted given where you put the fairway. I just don't think that's good, generally good design. Like, that's pretty tricked up, particularly when we landed it short. Maybe that's one of those things where we'll go, well, we'll learn and we won't do that again next time, but yeah, not a fan of that. And the fact that you're doing it again here, I just think this makes it overly penal, particularly with the green that's falling away. I think there's better ways of doing difficulty. I mean, that's probably one I play again differently if you know it's there, but you wouldn't necessarily expect a ball landing short of the green to roll off out of bounds, especially when it landed quite a way short. Like, rolling on and through the green and off is a little harsh. No, I didn't check green speed, it's 170. It's fine. Okay, second hole, and we have a long par 3. I think same kind of comment as on the first. Like, we can do a lot of our empty space. I think you could use planting. And I notice you've gone to town with your out of bounds. You don't need out of bounds under here. If anyone's hitting it that far left, either smooth this hillside out, or if they're hitting it that far left, then give them the choice to take an unplayable. You don't need to make it out of bounds. Okay, we have water up here, which is that our river heading down to. Okay, fine, that makes sense. Little house in the background. Generally like the way this is framed. I mean, into the sun always helps as well. Green shape's a little ragged up here. I mean, I think spline work could use a little bit of cleaning up. Well, at least we make up one of those shots. Good view down here, like the big view. Oh, I missed it. The big view back down the plot from that green was class. Really enjoyed that. Okay, there's some hovering splashes and things that I think you can clean up. And here, I think if you're going to have water in play in the way that you do, I like that you've brought the river short and going down the right as like the same river but acting as a hazard in two different ways. I think is great. You are going to want to drop this land so that it's visible. Like, we know it's there, but I think we can do it a little bit better, a little bit neater. Okay, and hitting at this green, purple flowers feel they feel quite out of place. I generally hate these, so sorry. They're just really neon and they grab your eye so much. Like if you look at it from here, they just look really plastic, I guess would be the word, compared to all the, you've got a load of nice natural colours in and around here, and then to suddenly have those very like tackier plastic colours just doesn't really fit as well for me. Otherwise, I really like this shot. I like that you've put two bunkers here. Now I think your sculpting and surfacing can be neater, so here you want to define you've got your high side, you just want to lower this bit. Here you haven't really got a high side or low side. And I think your bunker positioning is good, where it kind of forces us out. Like, do you risk the bunkers or do you push slightly closer towards the water, which is the bigger hazard? I'm happy with that. And is that we do have some light rough on this hole, I think, because we've got fairway texture here. I think this is fairway, must be. And we got light rough around it, which makes me question why we didn't have it on the first hole. Unless this is green fringe, but no, it'll be showing up. So that's a bit of an odd one for me. Like, don't get me wrong, I think I prefer this course with light rough, particularly given how penal some of the hazards have been. Yeah, I think same thing. I think you're overprotecting some of your pins. Like, even on the par 3, I know there's a really managed to hit a good shot in. I think even that par 3 was just overly protected on that tiny little slope on an already long hole. Okay, yeah, again we've got light rough, so I assume that the first was a miss and it was meant to not have light rough. You'd want that generally being a bit more consistent. I like the way this dog legs around the trees, and you're encouraging a fade. Good sightline up the hill, and you haven't shied away from doing an uphill hole as well, even when, oh, that's an awful shot, even when those sightlines can be a bit more difficult. Well, this is not the place to miss. I mean, who knows? That is a great miss from where we were. You will get some comments about water being above the green. Like in a traditional contest, you see a lot about this. I don't really mind it. Water's got to be high at some point. But yeah, I think your water placement generally is like, should we say fantastical? Is probably the nice way. Planting around the green is nice. So like, I would like to see you probably clump these orange bushes a little bit more, so that they're more like in an area rather than dotted around. I think it looks less cohesive when you've just got one here and one there and one there and one there and one there, and then we pop the green bushes around them. Like, have an area that's more heavily orange bush than green or what have you. That's an all-world par. Take that. Okay, 2 to come. We've got a par 3 and a par 5. So, good bit of variety of which to finish. I like that we are now hitting over the water. I think that works well. I think you could do more to show off the water, and there's certainly some sculpting issues here with how you want the land to dive off down here, but you also need to create this river and the water being high, and therefore you just don't tend to see water being high and then a massive hit at the top of a massive hill. So usually that's a sign that I guess the water's in the wrong place, or it doesn't make as much sense as it could do. Do you like the green side? I wish I could see a little bit more of this hole. That's an awful swing. Get lucky. Nah. That got what it deserved. Just looking around, I think planting wise, you've got a lot of different types of tree. I don't think you've necessarily nailed down the exact look you were going for. Like generally with planting, here we go. I've seen mesquites, I've seen oaks, I've seen the sideways oaks, I've seen pines, I've seen cedars, maple, birch, the orange junipers. I think you can probably come up with something a little more cohesive. Okay, hole 6, 4 over. A lot of that's to do with the first hole, and then obviously that last one was a poor couple of putts. Again, I don't think you need the OB down here. I wonder whether you're just marking the edge of a plot though. Yeah, I think you are. Honestly, I just wouldn't bother. We don't necessarily need the edge of a plot to be OB. But I understand why you've done it. This one doesn't feel like it should be a central bunker to me. For me, if it's a central bunker, you're offering the players a chance to use this bit of fairway, or there's no point in cutting it as fairway. So here, I'd shuffle this bunker slightly this side and cut the fairway around it, and it makes a lot more sense. Okay, where is the green? Oh, it's over there. So we do want to be down the right hand side, so that makes sense. Left hand side, so I like how that works. Having said that this area of the fairway is unusable, promptly hit it and bounce into the rough. Love it. Yeah, I mean, so we've now got a couple of colliding ideas where we've suddenly brought in a waste bunker that you haven't used before. I think just stick with an idea that you had. If you're going with making, I guess, the water features your big part of the course, don't chuck a waste bunker in as well unless that's cohesive. A bit more of the clumping here that I like doing this sort of thing works better, certainly with your planting. And again, you just check when you're playing through your course, keep checking your sight lines from places like this and go, is this what I want someone to see? Because I'd wager you probably wanted to show off the bunker, you probably wanted to dip this bit of land or have this slope be a bit more gradual. Oh, it's not a good pitch. To a green that runs away. I'm hoping you didn't pull the same trick with the out of bounds here though, which is good. Oh, it wasn't a bad effort to finish up with. 4 over, excellent. Oh well, we all have bad days. Look, there's lots I really liked. I think the whole design is there. I think your concept of, shall we say, protecting, I guess creating a difficult but fair hole is in progress. The first hole was unfair, and I think that hole would honestly result in me reviewing that as not approved for TGC Tours. It's just too penal. Whereas the rest of it's definitely approve worthy for sure. I think some of the greens as well, you can see just the slopes and where you've put pins are a little bit tight. You can clean up some of the sculpting, but I think the big ideas are good. I did like your waterfall feature, and I thought that came in quite nicely at the start of the round. Maybe you would have worked back to it on your 6th if you could have done just as a... Generally, if you've got a big feature, I like to try to finish on that as well as opening pretty closely on it. Planting wise, I think, yeah, just come up with more of a scheme and try to lean on that. I wonder how many trees you had put down on a 6-hole course. Typically, I'll find that I maybe, like, okay, I might use a lot and end up on like 5 pages or so of trees planted, but typically I'm relying on, I don't know, 5 or 6 in the majority. and that will lend your course that environment and cohesiveness. But yeah, lots to enjoy here, and I hope that helped. Best of luck with the contest, and yeah, keep designing. Catch you soon.